Hi, everybody. This is Jose Palomino, founder and CEO of Valueprop, and your host on Business Growth on Purpose. And our guest today is Robin Osborn. And Robin is an industrial company owner and a coach who works with other owners and leadership teams in a real special way, because what she shares is practical, actionable, but also it was born in the fire of some personal experiences that we'll learn about as we speak to her and see how it applies to our story as we go on this journey of growing our businesses, our organizations, and our lives on purpose. So listen closely as Robin joins us right now. Welcome, Robin, to Business Growth on Purpose.
Good morning, Jose. It's great to be here.
Yeah, now we're on opposite coasts, right? So I'm outside of Philly on the East Coast, and I believe you're in California.
I am. I'm in Orange County, California.
Okay, where the weather is always good, right?
Gorgeous.
Right now we have a kind of like an overcast day here while we're recording this session. But well, for our audience sake, I think it's helpful if you just give us a little context on what you primarily do and who do you primarily do it for.
Absolutely. I am a coach, a consultant, facilitator. I go into small to mid-sized companies, anywhere from 2 million to 100 million in revenue, anywhere from 10 to 250 employees. I'm what I call a people whisperer. So
Okay.
I go in, get open, honest, transparent with the team, also the strategy, where are they going, and help them really uncover the blind spots and create what I call a freedom framework in the business to help them achieve their vision. And I've been doing this for the last 8 years. And I come from being in the trenches. So I really enjoy going out and creating transformation.
Wow. So I love that phrase. That's really good. Freedom framework, right? So, so let's dig into that a little bit. I'm going to dig into a little bit of your story as well, but let me start with the freedom framework, because that really caught my attention. So do you find that leadership teams, especially ownership, they're kind of stuck in their own kind of prison of like head trash or thoughts that they believe is true, but isn't necessarily true? Is that the kind of thing you run into?
Absolutely. So the inner game is an important piece, the mindset. We want to challenge it because there's a lot of, I would say, assumptions. And in order to change the company, you really need to change the people's mindset and not change it in a rainbow and unicorns, but change it from using tools that have, been used by myself. So I take the best of what's available out there to create that transformation. I did this in my own company back in 2014. But what I find is we're swimming in a lot of inner conflict, assumptions, interpretations, or limited beliefs. So it's one thing to create a vision, but really believing in it and owning it and stepping into it is another story. And so I really help peel back the layers to get to the core of what's stopping them.
Wow. So now you alluded to your business, right? So obviously you have this coaching practice, but you also are part of a much bigger business, as I understand it, as well, and have been for some years.
Yes.
And you've applied this. Now, how much of this is you've applied this tool set to your circumstance, or how much you helped develop the tool set as a result of things you were running into maybe in running your business?
Both. So what I say is the shortcut's the long way around. You've got to get in and do the work. And through the work is really the learning opportunities. So I don't believe in the word problems. Everything is an opportunity.
Okay.
And
Now, So how does that, and I love that thinking, right? That I think it's the only way to really look at things if you're going to be successful. But how do you avoid not so much the owner, because if the owner's bringing you in, they believe at some level, but they have a leadership team, which
Mhm.
often don't believe the way the owner believes, right? Uh,
Yes.
how do you lay out something like, I don't believe in problems, just opportunities, in a way that they don't receive that as a rainbow and unicorn kind of thing?
I start first and foremost, we have to create trust. The foundation, I believe in everything is key, is truly trust. I fall on the sword, start with my own story. And my own story in that 21, my dad took his own life.
Hmm.
I took over the company alongside my twin brother and my middle sister. We had 40 employees. And through the adversity of learning how to truly step into the role of a leader took time, and I failed often. So through the learning gave me the tools to really help others become better through my own process. I got stuck about 25 years in. We had ran very successfully, but I didn't know how to take the company to the next level. I didn't know how to operate at a world-class level. Also, issues with cash flow, people issues. I was really at the ceiling. And for me, through getting educated and really creating and customizing this freedom framework, we doubled our revenue in 24 months.
Oh my goodness. That's already an established, mature company. So that's really exciting.
Yeah, and we've been in business 75 years to date. So I'm very, very proud of that. Um, and really, what I found is 90% of your real stocks, your real issues are people in the company.
So it's not necessarily competition or suppliers or those pesky customers. You have found, or you believe, that 90% of those stuck issues are usually, you could find it rooted in the people, right? So why don't I just outsource everything, get rid of all my people, problem gone?
Get rid of all your people.
wouldn't
Well,
I, wouldn't I get rid of my problem?
there's a lot to the people aspect, meaning sometimes it's going to be dressed up like a process and it comes down to people or vice versa. The
Okay.
other thing is we don't have the right people in the right seats.
Okay.
So hard decisions, hard conversations. Owners a lot of times are avoiding walking through the resistance of
Mhm.
really the reality that they know is true. When they have someone that is not at their optimal skill set or not producing, we can't change what we tolerate. We're allowing it. Also, they're not going at the 10,000-foot level, looking down, doing really the true vision work and looking at the numbers clearly. What I find when I talk about a world-class company is I have a secret sauce. It's a software that helps you recognize the 6 key drivers in your business. So what I found through my own journey is revenue concentration is pivotal, in
Mm.
that if you have a client that's 30%
Or
of
more.
your,
I've seen
yeah.
more. It's scary.
So I see, those are some of the blind spots through the journey that I've become aware of. And so when I say people is first and foremost starting with where they are.
Mhm.
So in the secret sauce is what I call the U driver. And the U driver is, look, we're sick and tired of feeling exhausted from our company. We are, what are the 2 a.m. thoughts? When we look in the mirror, what is it that we're avoiding? So for me personally, I wasn't taking care of myself. I had an ego, I had an attitude. I had to really change the way that I was showing up.
Mm.
And once I created the awareness and started really showing up as a leader, looking in the mirror every day, that's when the company changed. And people see it. You don't even have to say anything, but they do know when you're also listening. So not voluntelling isn't going to get us there with healthy cohesiveness on our leadership team. But it's really getting brilliant on the basics, and it starts with you, with the CEO, with the owner, as well as the leadership team.
Wow. Well, Robin, I just immediately as you described this, I remember one interaction with an owner, and it was fascinating to me. The owner said to me, why can't my team care as much as I do? Because in this owner's estimation, the challenge was people didn't care enough. And I thought about that for a moment. My immediate answer was something along the lines, well, they're not an owner, so they don't have they're not as vested in the success of your enterprise as you are. You're a job to them. Even if they like you, it doesn't matter. And it's an expectation that may not have been entirely realistic. And it left the owner feeling very frustrated. It probably left the staff very frustrated with that interaction based on that expectation. So I'm just curious, from your experience, and you talked about the inner work you did in terms of yourself as an owner. What are some of the kind of other false beliefs or expectations you've run into that owners have about their team, about their company, that you have to usually find, okay, let's do a little reality check here?
Yeah. So I would say, first and foremost, what does amazing look like? So what is it that they really want? I also find that communication styles, they're not aware of their own way of engaging. So they're closed off to wanting it their way, but they're not asking open-ended questions to the team. So again, the frustration is extreme. And instead of really sitting and having a conversation where they're listening and really asking and digging into what their team, what they see as their commitment to the 3-year picture, and what is it that inspires and empowers them. What could we do different?
Well, that's really good. And it brings to mind the owner bringing in a new machine and then turning to the team and say, isn't this machine wonderful? So what can people say at that point? Like, the owner just, bought in this $200,000 machine. Yeah, it's wonderful, boss. Meanwhile, they're thinking about, how is this going to affect my job? Am I going to lose my job? Is it going to replace me? All those other thoughts, but they're not expressing it, because to your exact point, Robin, the owner didn't ask open-ended, and it wasn't even before the fact, it's after the fact. So I just want my people to validate my wisdom and genius. Of course, you're going to hear a lot of what you think you want, but I also love the other expression you said, you only get what you tolerate.
You can't we can't get what we tolerate. We're allowing it.
Okay. And it's us, right? As leaders, as owners, that's what's happening there. Wow. So Robin, as I think about, the way you described your journey, and the fact that 21 with a family tragedy, having to run a business and keeping that business going, because I'm sure there were people, who would have bet against that just on the virtue of lack of experience, right? I'm sure maybe even you at times thought, like, okay, this isn't going to work. And then keeping it going successfully, and then reaching a point you say, I can't get to the next level. So that's a really, a humility that's necessary to be successful. Is just a realistic assessment. Where am I strong? Where am I weak? And so on. But you also, I know part of your journey was also some real personal health related things that also have fed into or have helped built into you a perspective that you now share with your clients. Would you mind, if it's not too personal, just sharing a little bit about that? Because I think that's really interesting.
Thank you. I'd love to. What I have found that has deepened the coaching and my ability to truly create transformation is my own. And in September of 2021, went to the emergency 3 times. I was seeing a purple circle on the wall, low energy. I thought I was fighting depression. You know, in COVID, it was a really struggle for everyone in business and humans. The third time I self-advocated and said, there's seriously something wrong. You're missing it. Scan my head. They found a baseball-sized brain tumor in my brain.
Oh my goodness.
Luckily benign, but they said if we don't do surgery immediately, it's going to take your life. So I really, surrendered and trusted God. I said goodbye to my family. They didn't know if I was going to survive or ever speak again.
Oh my goodness.
Because they had to go through the speech center.
Mm-hmm.
And I reflected back on my life and realized I had no regrets and I had no relationships that were everything that I, really am passionate about. I'm in the present. There wasn't anything undone. I went in with strength, and I woke up and speaking, and the nurse told my husband, "You need to tell her to chill out because she's trying to take control of the ICU," because I was helping him be more efficient.
Oh, there you go.
Give better service. Anyway, so
just a suggestion, by the way, right?
So in that journey, it's a 2-year recovery. And what I did immediately was not go to victim. I never went from, why is this happening to me? I think as business owners, we can tend to do that. What I did was come from just really adversity, what I call an adversity warrior, in setting my mind on what the vision looked like. It took a long time. It took me 1 year to walk 1 mile.
Oh
And
my goodness.
so my recovery process, I relied first and foremost on my values. So be impeccable with your word is one of the values that I live and walk in every day. So even when I didn't want to go to physical therapy, or when I could only walk a half a mile, I stayed in it, focused on the progress, in not making any assumptions or really putting a lot of pressure on myself, just believing in that it will come. So I'm really happy to say that I hit 3 miles. I'm up to 50 minutes in personal training. It's taken my body quite a long time to get the neurology back. And what I find is, again, your personal awareness and tenacity in truly taking care of yourself, loving yourself, is step one to being a successful CEO, business owner, because putting yourself last priority and making the business first priority isn't going to get you there.
Wow. And what an two amazing personal stories there, Robin. And thank you for sharing that. I know it sounds like, it's a very, it's arduous. And you use the term adversity warrior. Is that?
Yes.
Okay. I love that. That's really good. And so, I could easily see, and I haven't done a lot of turnarounds just because they generally at that point it's like the house is on fire already, and it's a little late to call the fireman when it's down to ashes. But occasionally I walk into where it's not yet ashes and the fire can be put out. And there is a point where people are just so discouraged, right? They, like they've tried so many things. They've and they've restructured, refinanced, whatever, and they think they have something good, but they can't get it to move in the direction they want to go in. So what are some maybe 2 or 3 top thoughts or lessons you would share to that person who feels like, boy, is it worth pushing forward, or should I just throw my hat and just here are the keys to the bank and good luck?
Yeah, of course. So number one, I loved your fire analogy, and I say we need to stop firefighting and become smoke detectors.
That's good.
So proactively, we need to look out. We need to look back and learn what are the patterns that we're continuing to recreate. I call that the crazy eight. We stay in the chaos. So in order to really experience freedom in implementing the right tools, so who's in what seat on the bus and what are they accountable for? Most businesses, there's a lot of ambiguity there. They're not sure. We've got to dumb it down. No titles. So I'm not saying you don't have an organizational chart. I'm just saying you need a accountability chart that's showing who's accountable, because when I'm in helping with amazing meetings, weekly meetings, because we're having ineffective meetings, we're not solving our issues, the first thing I ask is who's accountable? Second, is this our issue to solve? So a lot of times we're trying to steer the ship from the ivory tower when actually boots on the ground, we've got to go talk to the people that actually really know what's going on. So that is where I would start, is getting the right people in the right seats, proactively managing the company. And bottom line, in order to have a world-class company, the numbers don't lie. We've got to look at the numbers and reverse engineer into action, leading numbers that we're driving to course correct.
Wow, I love that. And is Robin, I mean, we could keep going on this. This is a great topic, but we are at our time right now. And so I want, just because I'm sure listeners will say, I'd like to learn more about Robin, her story, or even to reach out to you. Where should they go to find out more about you, or even to contact you?
Sure. My website, Robin Osborn, it's ROBINOSBORN.com.
That's
There's
easy
a
enough.
Yeah, there's a calendar link. You can set up. I'd love to do a 30-minute call. And God gave me a second chance to help people and businesses become better.
Fantastic. Well, Robin Osborn, thank you so much for being our guest today on Business Growth on Purpose. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Business Growth on Purpose. If you like the show, hit subscribe and leave us a review to help other people find the podcast. And if you're ready to take the next step in driving intentional growth for your business, come check out what we're doing at valueprop.com. We've developed industry-leading programs and systems to help B2B owners take control of their growth. Until then, thanks for listening to another episode of Business Growth on Purpose.